How's it going? Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. We got a little wide receiver special today on the upcoming 2026 prospects going into the NFL draft. I got Ben with me today, B-Rod. So without any further ado, who do you have as your first wide receiver prospect and the most likely one to go number one off the board?
So word has it that Carnell Tate might be the most pro-ready prospect, out of this wide receiver group coming into the draft. He's a very great deep ball receiver, and the ball sort of sticks to his hands. He had a very productive, 4 years, or actually, sorry, 3 years at Ohio State University, and he's just going to be a great target for whatever team picks him up. He's going to be definitely the first receiver taken off the board, in my opinion, and I think some good team fits for him could be like the Browns, Giants, even at number 5. Say if, Malik Neighbors is out for a year, what do you do then? Not for a year, but, what if he's out for an extended, amount of time in 2026 and, Jackson Dart needs some more weapons? I think that could be explored there. And then, a big question we could also get into, and I'm going to ask you this after, if you agree with me on your number one receiver, is if do you think these wide receivers could fall at all into the draft? I mean, I personally think that the first receiver could honestly go no later than maybe 6 at the Browns if they really want to attack the wide receiver position, because we saw Jerry Jeudy not be very, as productive last year, and they're going to also want to give more weapons to Shedeur Sanders going into next year. So I'll ask you that. Who's your number one receiver, and do you think the wide receivers have a chance to sort of fall in this draft? Because there's so
Number
many of them.
Yeah. Number one wide receiver is also Carnell Tate. But to answer your second question real quick, yeah, I do think the wide receivers could fall. I do think ultimately we're going to have one go in the top 10, but we could see two. But if one falls to, say, the first one that comes off the board is like 7, 8, 9, then yeah, then I could see them falling. Maybe two in the top 15 and then really falling down from there. But we'll see, because there is some really nice wide receiver prospects, but I got a few notes on Carnell Tate. Yeah, he's extremely pro ready, terrific route runner. Like takes the difficult catches and just makes them look routine. Had over 17 yards per catch in 2025, and there is 6 different games where he had at least one 40-yard catch. So that's just really showing that field stretching capability. And then you pair that with he has incredible tracking ability, and I think that's going to make him a fit in any NFL offense. Commanders at 7 is one that you didn't mention. That's one where I kind of like him going. Peeping Field Yates mock draft today as well. That's where he likes him. That's where he likes Carnell Tate going as well. But I could see him going as early as 5 to the Giants. But basically, I see it as the Commanders need someone opposite of Terry McLaurin. Obviously, I think Debo's still under contract, but he's not the field stretching guy. So you still have Debo in the center, and then you have the field stretching capability of Carnell Tate. That could be really nice. And then Malik Neighbors, like you said, he might be out to start the year for at least a few games, but he could be fully healthy. We'll see. But either way, you need that opposite guy. Darius Slayton's, he's solid. He's a journeyman wide receiver. He pops for a couple games here and there, but he's not that dominant outside wide receiver, and he's getting up there in age. Wan'Dale Robinson's great, was amazing this past season, but he's slot receiver, manning the middle. So yeah, Carnell Tate would be a perfect match to be opposite Malik Neighbors to build with Jackson Dart and John Harbaugh and company. So yeah, I think it's likely a 2-horse race between Tate and Tyson for wide receiver 1 in the class, but there is another guy that I think we're gonna get into in just a second. But right now I'm with you. Carnell Tate's leading the way. But depending on the combine and just, interviews, just character things, the way NFL teams sometimes they just really like a guy, I could see it being kind of a 1A, 1B type of scenario. But who do you have for your number 2 wide receiver?
So for my number 2 wide receiver, I have Mekhi Lemon coming out of USC. And in 3 games this year, he had 10 or more catches. It was a super productive year for him last year, and I think he's also in contention to, go up with even, the Carnell Tates and the Jordan Tysons of the world. Tyson as well does this, but a super positive thing for Mekhi Lemon, is that he's a great kick returner. I think a very valuable thing that these wide receivers are starting to bring in the draft is that their returning abilities, and to find those people and those players at the at that position is sort of hard nowadays. I mean, look what the Seahawks did with Raheem Shaheed. That worked out greatly for them. That one play that could stretch the field and turn into a 99 kick yard return could be something crazy and another element to your team, and that's I think something that Makai Lemon adds. Who did you have for your number two receiver, Adam?
That's where we differ a little bit. It's really close for me, but right now, this early in the process, I got Jordan Tyson as my wide receiver too. First of all, he's got experience operating as the true number one receiver. He's a really smooth route runner considering his size. He's got the acceleration to get by those defenders, and I really like his crisp breaks at the top of his route for like a big receiver. Just be able to just snap off a route really quick and get to the sideline, and then just have the defender keep running downfield. It's going to be a great way to get separation in the NFL. And yeah, he makes up for that lack of top line speed with just great separation through that route running with those crisp breaks. And he's very good in the air as well. He's got good technique when high pointing the ball. And it's his attention to detail. The more you watch him on tape and you just like really pick out those little things, he's got a really good attention to detail. The biggest knock on him is the injury red flags. He tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL in his freshman year at Colorado. I didn't know that until I read up on it like a couple weeks ago when I started working on this Jordan Tyson profile, which just type it up a little bit. That'll be coming out soon, if not tomorrow, the next day. But yeah, those injury red flags. But 2024, he had that true breakout season. It's his best statistical season as well. And then he had 1,098 yards and a 3.04 yards per route run, which is off the charts. But suffered a collarbone injury and missed the last few games of the season this past year. And then, yeah, I already mentioned the size, but 6'2", 200, very prototypical. And he's got it on both sides, too. So he lines up about 70% outside and then 30% inside, so he can work inside or outside. Got that versatility. That's what you need in a true number one. It's kind of the question mark some people had about JSN. Can he do the outside receivers routes too? Surely he can. We've seen all that now. But yeah, he projects to be one of the top two receivers. If it's not Carnell Tate, probably Tyson. But like you said, maybe Makai Lemon as well. But I could see Tyson sneaking into the top 10. I could also see him going between 10 and 20. Would surprise me if he falls past 20, but I've seen crazier things happen. Someone will get some gem. I mean, JSN fell to like 17. It was right around the pick 20. So
Could thank the Jets for that one.
Jordan Tyson, do you like going to the Jets?
Oh no, I was going to say that you could thank the Jets for passing up on Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yes,
but,
that
yeah.
is true. But I mean, so did like half the NFL. You can't put it all in the Jets.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, no, I mean that's going to be a sort of thing we sort of look at this year. I mean, depending on where some of these receivers go, some of them are considered ranked above the others, but sometimes depending on scheme fits and how well they plug into these offenses, we could see these receivers being unlocked to their fullest potential. And I'll get into a sleeper receiver later that that could boost an offense immensely just with their speed alone. But yeah, so to sort of recap what we've said so far, Tate is that sort of deep ball receiver. Outside the numbers, go up and get it, put it in his hands. And then, we have Makai Lemon, just a safe prospect from USC, just super high production numbers and, broke 1,000 yards last year. And then, we have Jordan Tyson, who may be, a sort of question mark in sort of his injury past. But, teams will, some teams would be, happy to look over that depending on, maybe how far he falls. And, Jordan Tyson could be a great player in this league still, despite his injuries. And you mentioned his start at Colorado, too. I mean, he had a punt return for a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, in his freshman year. So he's done it at multiple programs. So I think that's really the attractive thing about Jordan Tyson as well. And to get into the next receiver I'm going to talk about, and this is another guy that they're saying is a first-round lock, is Denzel Boston. I mean, he's sort of the slower receiver out of the group, but you put him in the slot still, he can do amazing things for you. I mean, Adam, how do you feel about Denzel Boston?
Is that your wide receiver 3?
So that would be my wide receiver 4.
Okay, so you got Tyson. Yeah. Tyson's wide receiver 3?
Tyson would be my wide receiver 3, and then after
Okay.
him, I have Denzel Boston.
Okay, so wide receiver 3 for me, I would have Mekhi Lemon. I won't. I mean, I think you pretty much hit most of it, but he's not the clear top wide receiver in the class, but he is the clear cut top slot wide receiver in the class. He's a little bit smaller at 5'11", 195, but a guy that you can really trust over the middle. He's got really like high IQ, great vision, natural shake after the catch. He actually reminds me a little bit of JSN. Not gonna lie. So I think there's gonna be a lot of guys kind of clamoring to get a guy like Mekhi Lemon after watching the year that JSN, and like it's people also said Justin Jefferson was a slot receiver coming out. It's like if you can't just say someone's a slot receiver. If they're talented and they're dedicated enough, they can become an outside receiver if they have. I mean, if you're as athletic and as skilled as Justin Jefferson, Jack Smith and Jigba, and depending how Mekhi Lemon tests, he could easily do that as well. But yeah, he also averaged the third most receiving yards per game last year at 96.3. So another great wide receiver prospect. We'll see how they end up slotting in as we get closer to the draft. Still many months away, but actually just a couple months away. Creeping up on me actually. But Denzel Boston, for me, he's probably the fourth wide receiver off the board right now. But he does have some issues for me. So he doesn't win with speed or agility. He wins with size. Kind of similar to Jordan Tyson in that way, but he really, really, really struggles against zone coverage. He had like really low efficiency numbers against zone coverage, and the NFL employs more zone coverage than it ever has in history of the NFL. More and more teams are going away from man. Not many teams even employ like more than 50% of man anymore. So we'll see. We'll see if he can develop. He's like some people have been mocking him like T. Higgins comparison, but T. Higgins had like numbers that jump off the charts against zone coverage, and
Yeah, he's a speedy guy.
yeah, so we'll see. I mean, like he wasn't exactly like a speedy guy per se, but he looks fast on the field because he runs with certainty, and when he gets to the high point in the football, he wins like almost every single time. Joe Burrow just has to throw it up, and he gets it almost every time. So yeah, Denzel Boston's gonna need to learn to play against zone, or he's gonna be a bust in the NFL. I just have to say that, and I don't think he's going to be. I hope he's not. I want everyone to succeed, and I want Denzel Boston to succeed, but that's just something he's gonna have to clean up because otherwise people are just gonna throw zone coverage at him all day, and he's not gonna know what to do. But
Yeah.
go.
So the next receiver I'll sort of bring up here is kind of honestly the complete opposite of Denzel Boston, and it's honestly, if people are saying one of the fastest players in this draft, and it's a sleeper. And shout out to Field Yates for pointing him out. On first draft on ESPN, I have Brennan Thompson out of Mississippi State, and he runs with blazing speed, man. I was watching his tape, and it's just truly impressive how much he just, opens the field for the Mississippi State offense. And he's also the first wide receiver in Mississippi State history to lead the SEC in receiving yards for the whole year. So this guy has some, accolades and some, impressive numbers here. And I think, he can sort of shoot up people's draft boards just because of how fast he is also. And, I sort of brung it up my last point for Denzel Boston. Maybe some teams overlook his speed, but the speed for Brennan Thompson just can't be ignored. Like, I think his 40 time is going to be like very close to like what we see on field. He's just that fast. So, I mean, corners could try to, give him a little bit of leeway. And, it's going to be a little different once he gets to the NFL, of course. Defensive packages are going to be different. But I think with the right team, with the right scheme fit, you put Brennan Thompson in the slot, just that speedy receiver, just run a seam straight up down the field. He could do some damage in the NFL, and I really like him at Mississippi State.
I like it. Yeah, I'll have to look into him a little bit more. Denzel Boston was the last guy I had. Do you have anyone else after Brennan Thompson?
That would be my last receiver.
That's your last one as well.
Today.
Yeah. So thank you everyone that's been tuning in, and yeah, that's our wide receiver breakdown. Very initial right now. We got a lot more homework to do. We got once the combine happens, we'll have to break that down. That could change things quite a bit. But we've seen in years past that once you have kind of like the definitive three, they might kind of shuffle around, but you rarely have like the sixth best guy jumping in the top three just because of some combine performance. But you never know. Things can happen. And yeah, but thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe at Inside the Locker Room TV on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Thanks so much.